The Bunnies might be gone, but the Playmates were still here. As Hefner broke off to deal with the preparations for the Playmate of the Year party, I could hear unbridled giggles from the grounds. Some of the Playmates were at play. Always ready to research any subject to its depths, I set off to join them. But after getting changed, I found that I couldn't find the pool. Instead, I had to grope my way through some sort of grotto, which for all I knew led straight back to Hefner's office. Gleeful cries in the distance told me where the Playmates were. A reporter has to sneak up on a subject if he wants to catch it with its guard down.
Hi, girls!
Hi!
What's your name?
Marina.
Marina. What's your name?
Sherry.
Well, what's your name?
My name's Donna.
Donna. Where are you all from? Where are you from?
I'm from England.
From England?
Yeah.
I came all this way, I find an English girl?
Why not?
What about you?
Longview, Washington.
Uh-huh. Donna?
I'm from North Carolina.
What do you do in real life, Donna?
When I'm not doing this, I've been extremely busy with Playboy right now, but I sell real estate in North Carolina.
Ah, you do? You
I
sell?
have my license. Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. And what about you?
I'm a waitress at a pizza parlor.
Uh-huh. And what about you?
I'm an actress.
You're an actress?
Yes.
And you're English?
I'm English.
What do you think when the photographer says, okay, take your clothes off and do this, that, and the other? You ever think, hey, wait a sec, why am I doing this? Huh?
No, they don't order you to take your clothes off. I mean, they ask you to do it at your pace. When you're comfortable with it, they work you into it.
Yeah.
And for centerfold anyway, you know basically what the centerfold involves, so you don't usually turn up in your long johns.
I see.
You know, going to set. I mean, no, you know what you're doing. As soon as you decide you're going to do Playboy, you know.
What about your mum? I mean, what does your mum think of that? What does your mother?
My mother loves it. She gets waved at in the village.
Yeah. Yeah.
She enjoys the superstardom.
Would she have done that in her time? She had the chance, you think? I mean, if times changed.
Not in her time, she wouldn't have done. But if she was around now,
Yeah.
my mother would.
What about your mum?
My mom would have too. She would have done it, but her family, she was more inclined to have a family at that time than pose, you know. But she would have done it if she didn't want a family ahead of that.
What about you, Sherry?
My mom told me it could ruin my life.
Yeah? Did she?
Yeah.
Really?
And I told her to stick to raising children and I'll do what I want.
Yeah? Let me put the feminist case to you, because there's nobody else in the pool who can put it for me, right? Because you know what the feminists think. They think that
We're feminists.
think they're all being exploited.
But that wouldn't be right at all, because we're not being exploited. At least I'm not. I did this on my own, and
I did it on my own.
right. Exploitation is when someone makes you do something, or someone, you know, forces an idea on you, and that's not at all what I did anyway.
So
I'm loving it. If this is exploitation, you're like, it's wonderful.
It
It's
is.
not, but it isn't.
It's like someone saying that, you know how they put pictures of champion roses
Yeah.
in a book. Then if we're being exploited, then so are the flowers.
I thought I knew what she meant. As I treated myself to half an hour of decadence, preparations went ahead for the Playmate of the Year announcement party. Obviously, this would be an event of Barnum and Bailey proportions, but I still couldn't help feeling that those who accused Hefner of exploitation had a case. The Playmates were catering for male fantasies. Certainly 3 of them had just been catering for one of mine. The Playmate of the Year would be announced in front of all the important people associated with the serious business of girls taking their clothes off. I had to admit that this eager audience would include myself. For this one day at least, I was part of the dream world of Hugh M. Hefner. Having changed from his morning pajamas into his afternoon pajamas, he was ready to talk again.
I want to ask you about being a victim of your own success, because you started a sexual revolution, and is it possible that it overtook you? You started being outflanked by imitators who were ready to go further. I'm really referring to Penthouse and Good Shows. Is that what happened?
Well, I don't think there's any question about it. When Playboy began, it was never intended to be an under-the-counter publication. What I was trying to do was make sex acceptable, to say that sex is a nice part of life, and we've managed in our society, through our Puritan hang-ups, to kind of keep it in a closet. I think that in opening up that door, without question, there's been a tremendous amount, what has been called a sexual revolution has been truly a revolution, and it includes a great deal of exploitation and excess, and I have never been willing, quite frankly, to or motivated to stay in the forefront of that, because that's not really what Playboy is all about.
Were you shocked?
No. I've never had any great problem with. In other words, I'd seen blue movies and things from childhood, and I must say that 20 years ago, it would have been inconceivable to me that X-rated films could be appearing. That you could go down to the local store and pick them up and run them on your television set. But I think, quite frankly, that all of that is a very healthy change. I think that the exploitation and the excess is a rather small price to pay for not feeling so continually guilty about our own bodies.
A lot of the feminists say that you're their arch villain, and they say that the Playboy empire has, well, the word they use is exploited women. Exploitation is what they say you stand for. And the prime example they pick on is the Bunnies. Now, what were the Bunnies all about? Why did you put the girls in those costumes?
Well, the girls wore bunny costumes because the bunny was our corporate logo. But I think that in this entire controversy over Playboy versus feminism, we have fallen into a kind of Orwellian newspeak in which words have stopped having any real meaning. And I think that when somebody says that a nude in Playboy or a bunny waitress in the club is exploitation, that's a political point of view. It isn't reality. And for a very long time, I had a great deal of trouble answering those kinds of critics because I didn't know how to answer, because it was perfectly clear that we don't exploit the human beings that are involved. Neither the women who are wearing the costumes or the women who are posing in the magazines. We treat them, as the record will rather clearly show, in a rather first-rate way.
I see the recent issues of Playboy have been carrying lots of ads for condoms. Has AIDS knocked the Playboy philosophy on the head?
Not if you properly understand what the Playboy philosophy is all about, because I think that it has been caricatured in many quarters as being, if it feels good, do it. But that's not what I was expressing at all. What I was really trying to say is that there is more to life than the rather repressive Puritan notion that life should simply be a vale of tears, and that you can enjoy life with some style and pleasure. But I also established from the very outset the fact that we really had to take a fresh look at the ethics and morality of sexuality, something that we've never really bothered to do in Western civilization. And obviously AIDS becomes one of the important elements in all of that.
Thousands of girls come through the mansion, through the magazine, thousands of them, and they don't get murdered. But one did, Dorothy Stratten. Now, I know she was murdered by her husband, but some people accuse you. They say that you give the girls generally a degree of success and glamour that they just can't handle. It's all too sudden. Now, is there anything to that?
I think you cite a perfect example. And maybe what happened to Dorothy is a little microcosm of an instance that will really make the point. Dorothy was growing as a person. I knew her for some 2 years. She was a very close friend. I cared a great deal about her. She cared a great deal about me. She had a number of friends here. Her husband killed her because she was having an affair. Not with me, but with a movie director. And the movie director turned it all around out of his own grief and pathology and described it as if it was something else. Now, if exactly that set of circumstances had occurred, but her success was not in the pages of Playboy, but was on the Broadway stage, there wouldn't be any question about the environment being suggested as the cause of the tragedy. The truth of the matter is the tragedy is classic in its traditional nature. It is predicated on the assumptions that are the most old-fashioned and hurtful that you can imagine, which is the notion that a man possesses a woman, and if she dares to leave him, he has the right to destroy his property. And that's what that conflict is all about.
Yeah, well, Peter Bogdanovich, the director in question, he says in his book, he implies that really you ought to take a share of the rap. It is,
Yes, the only thing, and if you, it is presumably clear that I've spent a great deal of time in giving all of my relationship with Dorothy, and in that context, every other woman in my life, a great deal of attention and concern in the middle of the night. There was nothing in the relationship with Dorothy, with Playboy or with me, that I am less than proud of.
Well, is there a link between pornography and crime? I mean, the Mies Commission, the Reagan administration generally, the evangelists, they would all like us to believe that there is a link between pornography and crime, especially violence. Do you think there is?
No. I think you can make a connection. I think it's possible in the media to do that. But no, it is the opposite is really the case. In terms of the commercial market, it is the violence in sexual, violent materials that is hurtful, not the sex. And there is ample evidence of that, and it's a kind of a red herring, because the truth of the matter is, in surveys of the present commercial market, you'll find that there is more violence in the GP rated films than in either the R-rated or the X-rated films.
You're looking back, you're 61 years old, and you admit it, you're ready to admit it. Carrie Lee is, how old is she, 24? Mm-hmm. What do you think about the generation gap?
I think that if you are in good health, that age has a great deal more to do with attitude than chronology. I really believe that's true. And I think that clearly, some things that get clearer and clearer as I'm researching in the book, much of my life has been devoted to not becoming a, quote, adult, end quote. Because I think I perceived very, very early on that what is passing for maturity in many quarters is a giving up on your dreams, a sort of cynicism, a sort of pseudo-sophistication, and it's almost as if you go from childhood into old age with nothing in between. So what I've done with my life, in a very real sense, I think, is try to hold on to a set of attitudes towards life that were there when I was in my teens.